Dominika Rożko here from Vegerasta.com, and today we have a big recipe coming up. Today I'm going to show you how to make the Buddha bowl. And you probably wonder where does the name Buddha bowl comes from. Basically, as the name suggests, it's a bowl full of goodness, usually the plant-based goodness, and actually it's always so full that it basically forms kind of like the big belly on top of the bowl, similar to the Buddha's belly. So that's the funny story about where the name comes from. They are also known as the macro bowls, and the name macro comes from the word macronutrients, which of course relates to proteins, carbs and fat, because the main requirement for the Buddha bowl is to contain those three important macronutrients. It's a very filling meal, but it's always prepared from the whole food. We are not using any processed food here. We are using lots of fresh ingredients along with roasted ingredients, and really they are so versatile that every time they can be completely different, they can taste totally different. And also later at the end I'm going to show you how to assemble them into in your lunchbox, so it is ready to go with you to work on the next day. So let's crack on. So first we are going to prepare sweet potatoes for roasting. And for the sweet potatoes, really, I'm only going to use salt and pepper, black pepper or white pepper, it's up to you, and a tiny bit of olive oil. So we're gonna prepare that first. And salt. And some black pepper, and we're gonna mix it. And sweet potatoes, they are getting soft very quickly, so we're gonna roast them for around 15 to 20 minutes. And it's always good to chop them into squares, so they are not too large, but also they shouldn't be too tiny. So we have sweet potatoes here. But also at the same time we're gonna roast cannellini beans, and here I'm also going to use a little bit of olive oil along with salt, as well as the harissa powder. It is actually for the additional spiciness of your dish. Instead of harissa you can use chili flakes, smoked paprika, or if you don't like spicy food you can use different herbs, for instance oregano or marjoram, and prepare it more in the Italian style. Both we're gonna roast for around 15-20 minutes in the oven, heated up to around 200 degrees. So I'm just going to lay them here on the tray, and the beans on one side. I'm just going to ensure that they are completely flat, and the potatoes on the other side. Okay, and now it's ready to go into the oven for around 15-20 minutes. Okay, and the next step is preparing our stir-fried red cabbage with the snap pea. There are different ways how you can prepare it. You can also change the red cabbage to white cabbage. You can use Chinese cabbage. So there is very, you know, it's just one sample of, you know, how Buddha bowl may look like. But choosing the ingredients, it's totally up to you. So right now we're going to heat up the pan. Alright, and we will start frying the red cabbage with the snap pea. We are just going to ensure that it's warming up. And for our cabbage stir fry, the ingredients are very simple. So there are only 2 ingredients, as you can see. But as for the spices, I'm just going to use a tiny bit of salt, just to make the softening process a bit quicker. And then we're gonna add a little bit of lemon juice and maple syrup to actually just bring all the flavors of the red cabbage and the snap pea a bit further up. So right now we are going to stir fry those for around 4 minutes. I'm going to sprinkle it with a little bit of salt. And we will wait till they get a bit softer. And just look at the lovely colors on the pan, green with the, you know, lovely purple of the cabbage. Now they are getting soft. So we are going to add 2 tablespoons of the lemon juice and 1 tablespoon of the maple syrup. And we will stir fry it again for around 2 more minutes, and it will be ready. And right now, while we are waiting for our sweet potatoes and beans to get ready, let's prepare the dressing, the sauce for our Buddha bowl. So here I'm going to use a 1/4 cup of sesame butter, or also known as tahini, along with half a lemon squeezed, also 1 tablespoon of the maple syrup, a little bit of black pepper, a tiny bit of salt. And also here I have hot water, because of course we need the dressing to be in more kind of like the runny consistency. So I'm going to start with 4 tablespoons, and then we will add more if we need. Right, and now we are going to blend it. And it looks a little bit too thick. Yes, it is definitely too thick. So I'm going to add another, I think 3 tablespoons. It's always better to dose the water in the tablespoons, because the consistency often depends on the quality of the tahini. So sometimes you can find it very smooth, runny, almost like in the liquid form, just after adding 4 tablespoons, whereas sometimes, like in this case, especially when you are using raw tahini, it's very thick. So we're gonna blend it once again. Right, it's still very thick, so I'm going to add a few more tablespoons to get it into the liquid form. So I'm adding 3 more. Actually, I will do 4 more. And it should be fine. Yes, that's what we want to achieve, and it's very smooth. It's still thick, but not too thick, not gluey, so that's what we are aiming to achieve. And right now all our ingredients are ready, so we are going to assemble our Buddha bowl. And as I mentioned earlier, it is also known as the macro bowl. So it's very important that you have all those 3 important macronutrients in your bowl, which are proteins, carbs and fats. So here I'm going to start from the quinoa. I usually use different grains. So sometimes I use quinoa, sometimes I use white rice or millet or buckwheat. So it's completely up to you. So we are going to place all the ingredients in the circular sections. So I'm going to start from the quinoa first, and that should be enough. And now we are going to follow it with the sweet potatoes. And I roasted them, as I mentioned earlier, for around 15-18 minutes. And the next part, I really like to keep different colors. So the next part will be our stir-fried red cabbage with the snap pea. This is going to be the next section here. I really love the colors of the Buddha bowls. They always look so beautiful and they taste delicious. Okay, so we have those here. The next section will be our roasted cannellini beans. So it's amazing source of proteins, so it will be next section, very important, right here. And the next section will be formed from the raw carrot, but again it's completely up to you what you're gonna use. I always mix the roasted or cooked vegetables together, and I also going to use some radish here, and as the lovely source of fat I'm going to use some avocado. And the next step will be our dressing, our tahini and maple syrup dressing. So I'm just going to dollop it here and there. Of course you can use more if you like. And you can add more in the middle. And the next step is adding some grain, some seeds. So I'm using pumpkin seeds mixed with sunflower seeds. Also some sesame. And also my favorite, Nigella sativa seeds. And your bowl is now ready. Now, let's talk about preparing the lunches, because the excuse that I usually hear, the most common excuse, is actually that I don't know how to prepare my lunch, I don't know what is actually easy and quick to make. And really, Buddha bowls are something very, very easy to assemble and easy to take with you, and all those ingredients can be prepared well ahead. So again, we are going to prepare them and lay them down in sections. So the grains first, followed by the sweet potato, for instance, or the other roasted veggie that you have, or something else, whatever you like. Followed by the stir-fried red cabbage. And let's do carrot first. Carrots and the beans in the small section here. And some radish on top. And the avocado. And also we can already sprinkle it with the seeds. However, if you are going to prepare it ahead, I wouldn't add the dressing because it will make everything a bit soaky, and that's not something what we want. So I would ideally keep the dressing in the separate container and take it with you, and just, you know, dress your Buddha bowl later. So here you have two options, something that you can serve to your friends and family and looks absolutely beautiful and is totally delicious, as well as the amazing option to take with you as a lunch. So enjoy and let me know what you think.